Another nation would dare intrude on this great nation. And we watched on our televisions as the planes one by one came and destroyed those towers of which we were so proud. And then all of the buzzing began. What is this? Why did it happen? Is this the judgment of God? I suppose that would be inevitable, that some preachers would pick it up and make a thing out of it, that this is that. And the bottom line is nobody really knows. It certainly was not God's judgment on this nation. When God gets ready to judge this nation, it'll be more than 2 little towers. But it was indeed a startling wake-up to us that these disastrous things can occur. And they can occur even in this nation. It was a wake-up call to the church, I believe. Not that we could have prevented it, as some are teaching, had we prayed harder, longer, more fervently, but that we really were quite unprepared to go through anything that disturbed our status quo. And I began to grieve, I think, with the Lord over the reaction of God's people. We seemed to panic much like the world. There was a camaraderie of, my, isn't that terrible? And depression. I spoke in a church, quite a sizable one, just about 25 minutes from that disaster. A year, almost a year it's been. And the depression in that church was so heavy, about 2,000 people, and you could just feel it when you walked in. There was none of this rousing and coming and isn't the Lord good and we're together and we're gonna. There was none of that. It was kind of like, hi there, we're together again, and God is somewhere, we hope. And I spoke to the pastor and I said, you can just feel the depression. He said, well, you don't understand because you're from the West Coast. And he said, you don't know, but there's not a family in my church that is untouched by the disaster. He said many of them had people in their families that were working in the trade centers, and everyone knew of somebody who was destroyed in that disaster. Now, I understand grieving and I understand pain, and you do and this family does and all of that, and I am not in any way putting that down, but I am suggesting to us, church, that when we see our incapability of handling something as minor as what that really was, we need to take another look at our walk. We talk a good talk. Great is our God, He's mighty, He's almighty, He's wonderful, my everything I bring, I love Him. And we talk that, and especially when we're together. How many of you know we get very strong when we're together? And especially on Sunday. And then Monday comes along and we're alone. And I really feel that God is saying that there are some things yet ahead, not just for America, but for the world, for which His people are unprepared unnecessarily. Now, if you got that, that's the message. If you didn't get that, you aren't going to get the message. It is important for us to realize whose we are, who we serve, and that nothing, not anything that comes into our lives is strong enough to beset us. Nothing. That's what the good book says. So why are we so easily beset? What is it? Where is the weakness that has come into the church? You know, we are so spoiled. How many of you know we're God's spoiled children? And we thought that in Jesus' name was a magic wand. And we could pray anything we wanted in Jesus' name. And it would in like some of Daniel's stuff. It would suddenly appear out of nowhere, and then we would feel very powerful. Now, when you're a baby, church, when you're really a baby, you get by with anything. The Lord just looks and smiles and says, oh, bless their hearts. And it's just like parents do with their children. When they're really little and they talk baby talk, we think it's so cute. Mama, tonight, doctor. And we say, oh, isn't that precious? But when they're 5,